Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today I wanted to get on and talk about relationship burnout and space and connection, and how much space is too much space, and how do we make sure that we maintain connection while still maintaining our individuality within that relationship. And that's often a really hard balance to find, right? So each person is bringing their own sort of beliefs and morals and values to the relationship, their own past experiences. And so often, what one person considers a feeling of safety might still feel very unsafe to the other person. And so some people might require less space, and some people might require more. And so really that's I guess the one of the things that we need to look at when we're looking at a potential life partner, or if we're in relationship with someone and it's already been an established relationship. How do we know that we're creating enough space in our relationship as well as enough connection? And what are the other person's beliefs around those things, right? So that's what we want to get to the heart of when we're in relationship with someone else. What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel connected? Do you need more of this or less of that? Or, these are the conversations that we should be having. And yet a lot of times we don't know how to have those conversations, or we don't even know necessarily that those are important ones to have. But assumptions and expectations are often what leads to disappointment and unmet needs. And so if we don't vocalize all of this stuff, if we don't have conversation around it, then we're left sort of wondering and guessing, and often doing what feels right for us. And what feels right for us might not feel right for the other person. But how can we know unless we talk about it, right? So I invite you to explore these questions within yourself. What do I need to feel safe? How much space do I need in order to still maintain my individuality? And how much closeness do I need in order to feel secure in my relationships? And those are going to, vary from person to person. And it's important to remember that our attachment styles are at play here as well, right? So, the things that we learned about safety and connection in our childhood often will play a big part in our adult relationships. And then even just like past romantic relationships, we bring all of that into our current life. And so unless we've done the work to kind of deal with those things and put them into perspective and, learn some, lessons that we might need to learn, or some skills, and, gather resources to ourselves, then, often these things will continue to sort of perpetuate, struggle in our adult life. So, things that we learned as coping mechanisms in our childhood might not work as well in our adult lives. So, for instance, if you grew up with parents who were very unattached and disinterested in your life and what was going on with you, you might bring that feeling into your adult relationships, where you might overcompensate or try to look for someone who's going to give you all of those things and more. And so that might come across as very needy to someone else, right? Or you might have gotten so used to nobody, really caring what you were doing, or it seemed like nobody cared, then you might become like super independent, and you might have this feeling that I don't need anything from someone else, and so you might create a bit too much space in your relationships where the other person is left wondering, do they even need me, and what do I bring to this relationship? And so it can leave them feeling, insecure, right? So there's lots of stuff dynamics that can play out in our adult relationships. And then, of course, if you've been in a relationship before and there's been a breach of trust, maybe there's been cheating in one form or another. And so you bring that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? You're just oversensitive maybe, or you're looking for it in that new person that you're with, and maybe you're distrustful, and maybe, you have reason to be. I'm not discounting that. Once burned, twice shy, right? So you might create some defenses around that, and then so that's not a terrible thing. As long as you're expressing that to your partner, like, I feel insecure in relationships if we don't have a certain amount of openness and transparency, and what that looks like for me in what I need is X, Y, and Z. So, you can be clear about what you need in order to feel safe and secure. And then it's up to the other person whether they're willing to do those steps. And if they're not, then that's something that you'll have to deal with. But, a lot of times when trust has been broken, if the other person is really wanting to earn that trust back, then, one way that they might have to do that is to be very transparent, right? So, that's something that you have to work out within your relationship of what that would look like, right? And for everyone, it's going to be different. And so I just, wanted to sort of get, on and talk about how, there's a fine line or a balance that we're looking to create within our relationships where, again, there's that space to, be an individual and to actualize yourself. And then also be in that supportive, loving, respectful relationship. And I think it's achievable. I know it's achievable. But sometimes we just need help, right? So if you're struggling with that in your relationship and you're trying to sort of, maybe deal with feelings of jealousy or hurt, or, maybe now it's bringing up feelings of low self-esteem, or you're starting to question yourself. Those are all things that we can talk about in a therapeutic setting and really get to, the root of what this means for you, and how to be in your relationship in a healthy, balanced way, and to find that balance within your relationships. So finding it within ourselves and then finding it within the relationship is much easier. So it's much easier to do it once we've sort of gotten clear about what we need and want, and when we've gained the resources to be able to speak for ourselves and to have our truth be heard, right? So that can all be byproducts of the therapy that I do with my clients, right? So often they'll come, with various things that they're dealing with. Often it's a symptom of something else. So they might come in saying that, they're not sleeping well, or they're still dealing with this chronic pain condition, or even things like, wanting to quit smoking or changing their eating habits and whatnot. Often those are a symptom, and they're one of many that come up when we're out of balance and we're feeling unhappy and we're in relationships that are struggling, right? So it doesn't just affect how we feel about the relationship. It often can have a ripple effect in our whole life. And so when we sort of unravel one thing, it helps to start that unraveling of the whole, and we can gain clarity around all of it. And so if you're struggling in your relationships, or even if you've got some other stuff going on for you, I just wanted to let you know that I'm here for you. Reach out and let's have a chat, because, life is meant to be enjoyed, and our relationships are meant to bring positive energy to our lives, right? So we're meant to be happy, and there was a reason why we were attracted to this other person, right? And sometimes we can lose focus of that. And then there's other times when we are attracted to a person who it turns out wasn't the person that we needed to be with, but they taught us something about ourselves. And so that can take some work too, right? So, sometimes if we're in a relationship that's struggling, it might be a matter of finding ourselves again, but then also finding and reconnecting to that part of them that we fell for and that we were drawn to. So, and then there's the other side where, maybe we're in relationship and we're discovering that this isn't the person that we want to spend our time with or build a life with. Therapy can help us sort of, gain the resources that we need in order to make that change if we need to make a change. It can help us learn from that so that when we go out and we begin to maybe explore other relationships, that we don't keep sort of, redoing the same things and finding ourselves in the same situations, right? So we can sort of break the cycles as well. And so reach out if you have any questions about what I do and how I help my clients. I'm happy to answer those for you. And just really, get in touch with what's going on for you and how we can get you quickly feeling better. So thank you for joining me today. Namaste.